RMBI gene, here to take you on another level and new horizons. See clear.
Hey everybody, this is Reggie from the Simple Straight Talk Show, the podcast, man. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. And as always, please remember to subscribe. Definitely give me a like, hit that like button down there, that notification button, so you know when more videos drop, because I'm trying to do more of these on my channel. You're going to see a lot of my podcasts, which is audio files. Check them out. Great information, but I'm going to try to do more videos like this too, so you can see me live. But I was talking to a friend today, and I got to be careful because I promised him I would not mention his name, but he works for a security company, and well, it's not really a security company. He works for an organization that has a security department, put it like that. So he's having an issue because the organization has now started bringing in more police officers to, be the managers, you know what I'm saying? Which is nothing wrong with that. Ex-police officers, rather, I'm saying ex-police officers. But they're having an issue because of this one ex-police officer who's now a manager. Within his first year, there were multiple racial discrimination complaints filed against him. And the issue is, because I'm trying to be careful here, because I made some promise to him about some things, but the things he asked that we talked about that I know I could tell you is, well, first let me say this. You know that there are some challenges between the black community and the police departments across the world, okay? And what he's telling me, and from my research, he's accurate. But the thing about it is this. Let me get in the details that I can tell you. The manager who used to be a police officer, the person who's a manager now, is basically calling some of his old friends to have people pulled over. He's using his old police connections for people's social media. He's trying to get people to go. He's sending his cop friends to people's houses. He's actually standing up in meetings, holding people's driver's record, saying, oh, this person got a ticket. If they get another ticket, then I can fire them. He's really using, his police buddies to do stuff to minorities that work within the organization, especially within the department he oversees. And the complaint is that there's nothing being done from the organization. Because there was even one guy who he told me, he said, well, ask this guy if you want to validate. So I went and asked the guy, and he told me, he's like, yeah, he has openly asked people who currently work part-time at courthouses in certain counties to tell their police friends to go after this person or pull this person over or look for this person. And I'm like, wow. And there are multiple racial discrimination complaints filed against this person, and I feel for him because it's hard to work in an environment like that. And I know a lot of people don't like to believe that discrimination still exists. A lot of people don't like to believe that we still have racial issues in this country, because when you talk about stuff like this, people like to say, well, that was the 60s, that was the 50s, and the 19 and 1800s, but today I went to see the movie Just Mercy, and it's amazing that, honestly, I was thinking that this movie took place in the 50s and 60s. This movie took place in the 80s and 90s. The actions of this movie was in the 80s and 90s. So this stuff is not old. It's still here. And for him just to tell me the things that's going on, this is why the black community has a strong issue with police departments, because you are abusing your power. When you're telling your police friends that you used to work with to go and pull this person over because you're trying to get them tickets and get them in trouble, you're making up charges against minorities, And a lot of them know it. I mean, what can you do? Because it's very hard to prove. Because I'm pretty sure the police officer that writes you that ticket is not going to stand in court and say, yeah, I wrote the ticket and gave it to him because my buddy who works at this organization wants to fire him from his job. But that's a lot of what's going on. And stuff like that is very difficult to prove, but it takes place, because a lot of times people don't realize that indirect discrimination is a reality. And if you don't know what indirect discrimination is when a manager or supervisor retaliates against you through the job. So let's say this, for example, let's say if a manager doesn't like you for whatever reason, and you haven't done anything wrong, but what they'll do is they won't feed you information that you need to do your job, but then they'll try to discipline you for it. And then they'll try to say, well, it was your responsibility to find out. They'll give you information late. They'll use your schedule against you. They'll try to change your schedule so it's an inconvenience for you. They will actually, if you're a supervisor, they won't staff your shift. Like say if every other shift has 8 or 9 people, they might leave you with like 3 or 4 people. They'll put you at a disadvantage. He was telling me of one situation where he made one supervisor, like all the other supervisors come in at the same time that their shift does. He made one supervisor come in at an hour after his shift. And he said that supervisor never got passed down, was never given any information on what was going on. So then he tried to reprimand the supervisor saying, well, you need to write your people up because they're late and you're not doing anything about it. And he said the supervisor was like, well, I'm not here and nobody's telling me if they're late. They're not going to say that they was late. But he was trying to reprimand the supervisor for that. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But that's the type of stuff that goes on when it's indirect discrimination. They try to hide behind the job to discipline you, to make it look like you're not doing your job. And it takes a really good HR person with some background who knows how to research this stuff to actually figure out what's going on. Because your basic HR person is not going to have a clue. They're not going to have a clue how to deal with it. Because to them, they're going to say, well, listen, he's a manager. He has the right to change your schedule. But they don't see what the objective is he's doing. And you have to document it extremely well. And even then, they try to hide it so far into the job that it looks like you're not doing your job. But the job is their intent is to make it so you have a harder time completing your job. And that's what you have to prove, that your tasks are given to you, but they're given to you in a way that is difficult than it is for other people because you're being put in a situation that's more challenging, that makes you difficult to complete your job. So that's how kind of like indirect discrimination works. But when he was just telling me the things that's going on, the things that this manager is doing, and he's like, nothing is taking place. I think it's sad that we live in a world where we want to trust police officers. We want to believe that police officers, whether they're ex-police officers or current police officers, do have morals and standards. But clearly in a case like this, when you got this manager who has a large number of complaints against him, he said there was even one case where a female reported that an individual was being racist and threatening her, and he basically sent a word back to her saying, oh, well, go talk to a counselor. It is sad. It's really sad that these things are observed and nothing is done. And people want to believe that this stuff still doesn't exist. And, for police officers to abuse this power. So if you are a current police officer and you're allowing someone who's not who maybe was a former police officer to influence you to write somebody a ticket because they're trying to fire them from a job, or they're out to get somebody and they're using you and you're complying with his actions, it's like, it makes the police like bullies. That's how the police come across. They come across as bullies. And I think it's just unfair, but this is the reality of what people are dealing with. And this is why the police department just can't be trusted. This is why you cannot trust police officers. This is why you have the issues you have right now with the police department, because of the abuse of power and the way they misuse their power. I understand that they got this whole brotherhood thing, but at some point your brotherhood needs to have moral and ethics that needs to be implemented into that whole brotherhood system that you got. Because for you to go out here and intentionally write tickets because somebody asked you to write tickets on somebody, or to go out here and run people's plates, or go by people's houses to look up things, or sending what do you call those people who go for kids? What do you call those people? I'm sorry. Child services. Sending child services to somebody's house because you're trying to get that person fired. This is the thing that makes it hard to trust police officers. And, I've worked with some great police officers, and I know some good police officers, and I've seen some good police officers operate outstanding in some situations that I thought, wow, you should have drawn, and they didn't. But, now it's kind of like, it's hard not to recognize them because there are so many cops that are just so dirty and that lack moral standards and ethics when it comes to the community, when it comes to the position and the badge that they wear. That's why when black people see a police officer, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, it's that uniform. That uniform means that you care more about your people than you do about right, than you do about justice, than you do about people being protected. So I just want to share that with you, man. And I think that at some point we got to figure out a way that police officers gotta either police themselves, or they gotta establish the fact that they gotta have morals and standards. Because this whole thing of going after people and an ex-cop being able to call cop buddies and say, go write this person a ticket, here's their tag number. Sending people to play people's houses, running numerous backgrounds on people through your buddies. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but this is what makes it so hard to believe that police officers care, or that they do have moral standards, or that they are trying to do right by people. It's stuff like this that make, especially the black community, since this guy is clearly going after the black community, this is what made people just not want to deal with cops. So I don't know, man, but it's a sad situation. It really is. I'll follow back up with him and I'll let y'all know what's going on, what's taking place, because especially when one person was actually told, yeah, I got my cop friends watching you. And when they reported it, this is what this person is doing, nothing was done. You know what I'm saying? And he told me this, he said he actually wrote a letter to the boss of his manager and copied the manager, asking that something be done about the discrimination, the behavior that's being treated towards minorities, the dislike towards minorities. And he said when he sent that letter, 2 days later, he got wrote up. He got wrote up when he sent that letter up. So, man, it's tough, man. It's tough being a black man in this world. It's tough. It really is tough being a minority. And I know people like to disregard when, African Americans start screaming like, listen, this is not right. This is discrimination. This is racism. And people like to blow it off like, no, racism was back in the 60s. No, that was back in the 50s. Everybody doesn't scream that because just to be screaming it. It's taking place. It's really taking place. And you're wondering why people are so frustrated right now. You wonder why when cops pull up to a black person, either they walk away or they get an attitude because they're frustrated. If you read my blog or you heard the podcast I did on the reasons I got pulled over, I mean, I'm not going to hash them all, but go look it up. It's on here. The reasons I got pulled over by the police. And I got pulled over for a tail light that it wasn't blown. He just said it looked like it was dim. I got pulled over at a shopping mall. While I was in the shopping mall, they followed me out and asked me, was I taking pictures in a shopping mall? And I'm in the parking lot in my car. Were you taking pictures? No, I wasn't taking pictures. You pulled me over because you thought I was taking pictures? Are you serious? But that's the stuff that black people deal with, man. And for black men, we're catching it from all angles. And I feel far sorry for my brother, so I'm going to pray for him. And hopefully that organization does right and recognize the wrong that's taking place. But, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough. But listen, y'all go check out that movie Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx, man. Y'all show that movie some love and support. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button down below, give me a like, and let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know your thoughts on this situation that I just told you about. If you got questions, ask me. I'll answer those questions for you if I can. There's some things I promised him I wouldn't say. But please, share your thoughts, ask questions, let me know what you think, and I'll definitely get back with you. I'll respond back. All right, see you next time.
This here so fire. Empower your voice to inspire. Yeah, RMBI Jim.